So thank you so much for joining the tape group, the Transcendental Consciousness tape group. And it is brand new for me too. It's like, wow, that's so great that we are starting a new tape group with new possibilities and with, almost wanted to say, good old Joel. Good old Joel is with us today in the meditation, in the words we share, in the tape we're going to listen to, which is the first step towards, say, transcendental consciousness or fourth dimensional consciousness. Now that's really lovely. So we have a lot of things that are coming to us today as gifts, you could say, totally. And so to enjoy it the most, that's always the thing, of course. Like you can be offered everything, but so we will just take it one moment at a time, realizing that what is already. It doesn't need to be accomplished. So the only change that occurs is in our consciousness, and that still is a matter of trust more than anything. It's like, yeah, we trust this. We have experiences that it's working, that it's given to us, and so that's so lovely, and that's what we share together. So now coming together is really like brand new, in the sense I see some old friends, I see some new friends. It's great. Well, it's lovely to see you. I'm really happy that you're here and that you decided to join and say dive with us into the talks that are being shared by Joel, and that are related to transcendental consciousness. So that is something that must have attracted you, as it does to me too. And so there's always, in this transformational process, there is always in coming together, you could say, coming together of opposites. There's no opposites, no, okay, but they're actually coming together. And the opposite that comes together is, in order to go up, you could say, in order to transcend, you have to go deeper into that, what seems to be preventing you from this transcendence. See, it is like, it is not all as you think it would be. Say, if you look at a timeline or something like this, it's like, no, time is not sequential, so that makes everything different. In our transcendental consciousness, we in fact will discover that everything is going on at the same time, and so that is the accomplishment as well as the failure are happening at the same time. So this can be a momentary confusion that you have with what you see. It's like, yeah, mesmerism. Well, it's not what I see, but what is then exactly going on? So if I let myself be, say, led by my appearances, then I'm stuck in that. If I perceive a problem here, I'm stuck in that. Now what? Now what are we going to do? So this is what I'm saying, is like, if we focus on that, there is our reality, you could say. And if we let go of that, we have a possibility to transcend into a whole different dimension altogether, which is what we call the transcendental consciousness. So the only change that really occurs, and this is in fact where we will come back to all the time, is this, that the real occurrence is happening in your consciousness. That's one thing, but you see that by giving space for that in your consciousness, by giving space for the alternative, it can come to you, it can be given to you. So, and that is the happening. So that's like lifting up your consciousness. But you have to get out of the way in order for it to receive it. This is what Joel many times mentions as his, say, healing procedure. You have to experience truth first yourself, but you're not doing anything. It's all by grace. In that, you can be lifted in your consciousness. Now that is a practice that we do certainly in every episode of this tape group. So you can feel it, you can experience that. In that sense, that is the most important thing, that you come into a relaxation, into a deep sense of quietness and peace, and allow the change that you're feeling, even though it might be for a moment a bit uncomfortable. It's like, so many are showing up. Like, no, just relax. It is a matter of coming into this, new frequency together, in which you can relax and actually experience something else. Now that is the real occurrence. So it's very much like experienced, focused, more than concepts or anything. So that's, after we do our meditation, which is also very much like that, we go to an introduction to the tape, which will be really, focused on this idea of you are, in fact, with your ideas, you're going to be replaced. Sounds a bit weird if I say it like this, but just like it's not I that I'm living, but the Christ in me that is living. That idea. It's like there's a replacement going on. So all the ideas that I focused myself on, and in all my descriptions of myself, I set them aside to allow something else to occur to me. Now, you haven't heard anything new yet. And so this is my, I'm preaching to the choir. I know that you can share about this, and you have experiences about this that are very helpful. So know that we are living this as one, and in that we come together. So in that we also will listen to the meditation. So I pre-made the meditation in a sort of YouTube video, where you will hear Joel speak, and then there's silence, probably 4 or 5 minutes. Then Joel will be reappearing. But then you also will hear, and this will be after the second or third time, you will also hear Michelle saying the words in French. And this is because there are more also French, the French are joining us here big time. So allowing that to be part of this completely too. So all in all, I'm very excited to start this with you. I'm really happy to step into the meditation with you, and that's what I'm going to open up right now.
And I'm sure that anyone of any spiritual impulse at all could come into this room right now and feel the love that is in this room. They would feel the vibration of the Spirit here. They would feel an atmosphere of respect, of love, of life, of spirit, of soul, of purity. And the reason is we brought it here. That is what we brought in our consciousness, and we have filled this room with it. And as long as we sit here, not desiring anything of each other, not wanting anything that the other has, just being here in a spirit of joy and of friendship and of sharing, free offering, free giving, you can rest assured that the Spirit of God will pervade this room. But remember that the Spirit of God is not something outside of us. that comes down here to us because we deserve it. There is nothing like that. The Spirit of God is the love that is within you and which you express. And therefore, love is unexpressed until we express it for someone else.
Quelle que soit sa pulsion spirituelle, pourrait entrer dans cette pièce en ce moment et ressentir l'amour qui est dans cette pièce. Il ressentirait la vibration de l'esprit ici. Il ressentirait une atmosphère de respect, d'amour de la vie, de l'âme, de l'esprit, de la pureté. Et la raison est, nous l'avons apporté ici. C'est ce que nous avons apporté dans notre conscience et nous en avons rempli cette pièce. Tant que nous sommes assis ici, sans rien désirer l'un de l'autre, sans rien vouloir de ce que l'autre a, juste être ici dans un esprit de joie, d'amitié et de partage. Offre gratuite, don gratuit. Vous pouvez être assuré que l'Esprit de Dieu imprégnera cette pièce. Mais rappelez-vous que l'Esprit de Dieu n'est pas quelque chose extérieur à vous, qui descend vers nous parce que nous le méritons. Il n'y a rien de tel. L'Esprit de Dieu est l'amour qui est en vous et que vous exprimez. Et par conséquent, l'amour reste inexprimé jusqu'à ce que nous l'exprimions pour quelqu'un d'autre.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for joining in the silence, in the stillness, in the action of going within. That's really what we're doing. So it's like you go within. And yeah, there's a specific part in parenthesis that has the same title. Going within or within. And so we're taking a look at some of the expressions in that. And why am I using a parenthesis in eternity of Joel? Because in fact, that is a very helpful book for everything related to the transcendental consciousness, say to entering into the fourth dimensional experience of ourselves. And Joel will say be very precise in fact today in like you have to face this, you have to take a look at this, you have to do this and this. And so I'm sharing this just to as a preparation for the video that we're going to look at, the first step towards transcendental consciousness. And so I prepared some slides, you could say, just to give myself some structure in sharing with you. And yeah, not really to give you a teaching of any kind. It's more like you recognize this. It is just great to look at it for just a moment, to see like, oh yes, of course, let's not forget that. It's more like this. So especially in this part of the parenthesis, there are some, say, suggestions or some insights that are really resonating with me. And that's why I love to share them with you. The Journey Within is the title of the chapter. Excuse me. The Journey Within. So there will be an overturning in our consciousness as it will appear to us as a warfare between the flesh and the spirit. This is where I started with too. It's like there seem to be opposites. There seem to be a conflict in your awakening. a warfare between the flesh and the spirit. Well, there's only one fighting, I could say. Like the I that we are as a person and the I that we are as God. So to say, come to the place where this conflict dissolves is where trust comes in. And so thus the warfare goes on until finally that human being is shaken so thoroughly that he awakens to the fact that of himself he is nothing, but that the I, which is God, is all. And so this we see is a very, say, important part in the awakening. You will have to admit your, say, no mind. Like your mind, as you use it as a human being, is a no mind, is nothing in itself. It's like it's sure, it can be concerned, and sure, it can, say, separate itself off, and sure, it seems to be made for it to perceive limitation and lack and sickness and death. Yes, it believes in temporalness and all this. It's like, but that's, in truth, that's nothing. So you will come to the place where you actually see that is nothing. Now, that's interesting to take a look at, of course. There is no limitation except that which man places upon himself by believing that what he sees of this world is all there is to it, or that what he sees in a mirror is all there is to him. Yeah, that's an interesting statement. So it's like you believe your perception, and then that is your world. That's what I started with too. It's like that is the confusion where you start with, and where you hold on to until you don't. Like you hold on to it, you make sure that this character, as you see yourself, is safe and comfortable. You do everything for that. It's like literally, like your whole day is filled with it, if you take a look at it. Except for the moments now in your practice where you dislodge from this habit, you could say, of this necessity to keep surviving in this limited perspective. Because that's very hard, as you can imagine. And you know all about that. I don't have to tell you much about it. It's like it's very hard to stay holding on to this separate part that is not you, that you got identified with it, and sure as hell, you can literally say, sure as hell, you get the consequences of what you are thinking and where you believe yourself to be. Absolutely, I don't want to deny that or take that away from you. But coming to the point where Joel brings us here is like your consciousness will be overthrown. It's literally like this, like that out of the way. Now the light can come in. Now I can be fully aware of where my source is, where I'm part of, like, and where my definitions were too limited for anything, like they are not serving any longer. Now this sounds like a decision, and in the end it is like that. Or you see, there is nothing to decide. There is literally only one that is real, and the other is like, let's say dissolving, you could say, or going into the background. You still have your ideas, but you're not using them to defend yourself. You're not using them to attack. You're not using them to establish yourself on a continuing basis as a defense against what actually is. There's no necessity for that anymore. But anyway, I'm talking a little bit upside down here, of course, coming from, say, the overview of a whole consciousness, of unconsciousness that is recognizing its source and, say, experiencing its connectedness with it. Now, it is interesting how it goes in the transformational processes we're in, is that you see that there are moments of such in great intensity that you think, like, I have no idea how to go through this. Like, the easiest for me would be to pick up my human habits in order not to feel this, or to relate it to situations or persons or events that are taking place. It's like it's because of that I'm feeling like this. But actually, it is a beautiful birth process that is taking place when you allow yourself to, say, to crash into that. You could say it's an offering for something else, even though it seems to be the end of you. It seems to be like say, a death episode where you move through, where you see like, oh my God, I don't know how to get out of this. And when you stay one instant longer, you could say that falls apart, and you actually experience the release of holding on to that identity. Now, this is in fact the experience that is being, say, presented by Joel continuously. Whatever he's talking, like it has all the same focus on eternity. No, it's not time. No, it's not limitation. No, it's not sickness. No, it's not even asking for anything. No, it's not what you think life is. No, it's not that. No, it's not this. You know, on and on and on. And recognizing that this description that you give yourself, in your limited perspective of yourself, you really think that that thing needs to become better, that thing needs to be adjusted and to be, say, molded into a perfect one. And this keeps you busy for a long time in your awakening process. But this one no thing, like that one thing will not experience that. So it's literally like, no, it's already in you. And no, you don't have to, say, make this, say, separate identity or this description of yourself, of this as, yeah, that what you have identified with as being you. You don't have to work at that to make it better. No, release it, forgive it, let it go, let your consciousness be open to receive. And in doing that, you meet all temptations to hold on to it. That's so beautifully orchestrated. Like you meet all your resistance to, in fact, accept what already is. Now, this is really what, in fact, a resurrection is. It's like sinking deeper into, yep, there's no exception to the love of God. If I'm accepting this, I am allowing myself to stand right here, not move, but let everything fall apart in order to have my focus straight up. It's like straight to heaven, you could say. And everything else that is temporal can go. I'm not holding on to it. I want what is eternal. Now this is said in many ways, and so there's an example here. I'll pull it up. So eventually, every one of us will come to Paul's state of consciousness in the realization, I, yet not I, but Christ, the Son of God, the very spirit and presence of God, lives my life. Once we are united in our consciousness, you could say, once we are fully aware of the fact that we are united with our source, we discover that our life is really the life of the life stream, the life of the source of life, which is now flowing as our life. Knowing this truth is a freeing activity. No longer do we feel cut off and alone, nor dependent on ourselves, only on ourselves. Now we are united with the life stream, no longer limited to our own wisdom, no longer limited to our own wisdom, strength and longevity, to our education, or social economic status. None of that. Like we're no longer limited to our definition of ourself, or what we call our wisdom, or our strength, or longevity, or to our education, or social or economic status. Now we have access to the infinity. Infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite life, the infinite source of all good. No longer are we limited to our immediate surroundings, to an island or a continent, not even limited to a whole planet. We have access to infinity. Infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite life, the infinite source of all good. So this is given to us. Now here, coming back to this idea that I shared in the beginning. So it's like, apparently I say a lot of things in the beginning. So this is like, you think that that's a future event. It is not. It is not. So it's like, what do I have to do to make that happen? Or what needs to change for that to happen? It's like, well, like we said, getting out of the way with our ideas about ourselves is one thing. So allowing something else to occur to us is also important. So then it can be given to us by grace. So it's not by our conscious doing, by our choice. Yeah, conscious doing is the best word. It's like, no, this is totally by the undoing of you, by letting that just be. It can change. It is present in us. And it is accomplished. So here's the good thing. It's like, this is accomplished. So it seems to be like a future event, and it's not. It is already accomplished. And there's no continuity in time. There's no longevity. There's no, continuity in time. There's no past that is linked to right now or a future in that sense of speaking. It's like, no, this is dislodging from our whole idea of time, seeing that by accepting this, you see that it is already accomplished. It's like God is, that is already truth. That doesn't need to change. So the only change you could say that is taking place is you, say, leaving your ideas for what they are, leaving your old identification with that no thing, you could say, for what it is, and just being available, being receptive, open. It's like, listen. Speak, Lord. Speak, Lord. Joel has all these expressions from the Bible. Speak, Lord, thy servant is hearing. It's like, yeah, that's it. Like you're a servant. So if you know what to do, you're not a servant. It is like being a servant is receiving it first. Like you're the messenger, you could say, or you're the servant. So you get your instructions. Don't worry. The voice is speaking to you, but you gotta listen. You gotta listen with your whole being, and stay right there. And like I said, we love to do things. We love to get in action, to adjust so that whatever we think the outcome of that is, we actually know it already. It will not work. So here it is. This is a not doing. This is a receiving. And this is following instructions that are given in order to come into this infinite love, infinite power, infinite knowledge, you could say, infinite wisdom. That what is already yours. It's not that it's not yours. No, it just needs to be fully in your awareness. And there's no need to resist that, because it is already accomplished and it is yours. All right, so Joel will repeat this probably. Joel will talk about this in the talk that we're going to listen to, the first step. So I will play, say, after I think 15 minutes or so, I will start the tape, and then we listen to it for half an hour. It is say tape 383A, I think it is. It's like first step in developing transcendental consciousness. First step in coming into a fourth dimensional consciousness. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to that.
And more especially when you are in meditation, when you come to that part of your meditation where you no longer think or speak, but realize, speak, Lord, thy servant heareth, and then wait, and let the presence of God make itself evident to you. And then again, you have opened out a way for the imprisoned splendor to escape. You have released the atmosphere of God into your home. Throughout the day, regardless of the temptation that comes to you, and remember that as long as we are in the world, temptations will be coming our way. And every time a temptation comes to you to accept a presence other than God, a power other than God, an activity other than God, you are being called upon, you as a student, you as a disciple of the Christ are being called upon to realize instantly, and if necessarily constantly, that there is but one power, and that power is within me. There is no power external to me for either good or evil. All power emanates from my own consciousness, and it is good as long as I do not accept two powers, as long as I do not accept the belief that there is a power of evil. While I hold to the truth that all power is within me, there is no power external to me, neither for good nor for evil. While you walk around your home in that consciousness, morning to night, when you're awake night to morning, remembering all the power of God is within you. Why? The kingdom of God is neither low here nor low there. The kingdom of God is within you. Therefore, the power of God is within you. The presence of God is within you, and you must release it. You must release it by conscious recognition of the truth. All power is within me. God has given me dominion over all that is in the earth, and all that is in the air, and all that is in the sky, all that is in the waters beneath the earth. God has given me dominion. God has not given dominion to these over me. As you live and move and have your being in that truth, the presence and power of God is being loosed into your home, and you will find it as present there as I'm sure you are finding it present in this room now. And for the same reason, you have loosed it. Now, as you leave your home, you will be given the further responsibility. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Now, where is the presence of the Lord? Where is the Spirit of the Lord? Where you are. The place whereon thou standest is holy ground. The kingdom of God is within you. Therefore, the Spirit of God, the presence of God, is where you are. And where you are, there is liberty. There is freedom from sin, from disease, from lack, from limitation. Where you are is holy ground. Unless you hold yourself in that attitude and in that altitude, do not expect anyone else in the world to do it. You must live and move and have your being in the realization that where I am, God is, for I and the Father are one. The place whereon I stand is holy ground, because I and my Father are here. Because, Son, thou art ever with me. Son, thou art ever with me. Wherever God is, you are. Wherever you are, God is. Inseparable, indivisible. Therefore, wherever you are, the spirit of peace is, and the spirit of forgiveness, and the spirit of blessing, and the spirit of benediction, and the spirit of healing, and the spirit of supply, and the spirit of safety and of security, where you are. Now remember, always it has been taught in religion that where God is, all of these great and glorious things are. But now you have to take the next step. You must remember that you are never any place but where God is. And God is never any place but where you are. Please, unless you can make the realization yours of the oneness of God and individual you, you will be having freedom, peace, joy, harmony in God somewhere 1 billion miles away, and wondering why it does not come to you. The grace of God can only come where it is acknowledged, recognized, released. The kingdom of God is where you are. If you make your bed in hell, declare that God is here where I am in this very hell. And in the realization of that, hell turns into heaven. If you make your bed in the shadow of death, declare that God is here where I am, right here, in the valley of the shadow of death. And you will find death becoming life. It is only in the sense of separation from God that we can know discord, inharmony, poverty, and all of these conditions of earth. But in our conscious union with God, and I emphasize that word conscious, and those of you who read the writings and hear the tapes, please watch how many times your attention is called to that word conscious. It is your conscious knowing of this truth. It is your conscious remembrance of God's presence. It is your consciousness of the presence of God. It is your conscious awareness of God's grace being closer to you than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. Do you not see that what transpires in your life is determined either by your knowledge of truth or by your ignorance of truth? In the degree of your conscious knowing of the truth, are you made free of the discords, the material sense. In proportion to your conscious awareness of your oneness with God, are you also made aware of your oneness with all good? In the ignorance of your relationship to God, there is a sense of separation from God. And you readily agree that in the presence of God, all is lovely. But then you have separated yourself from that presence, and so you are not experiencing it. It is only when you bring the two together consciously and realize, yes, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, but the Spirit of the Lord is where I am. Here where I am is the Spirit of the Lord, for I and my Father are one. Here where I am, up in heaven, down in hell, or in the valley of the shadow of death. Here where I am, God is. Here where I am, God's grace is functioning. Here where I am is the fullness of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. Where is thy presence? Here where I am. Unless you bring the two together, you're going to have God over here where all the good is, and you over here wondering how to bring it here. You can't bring it there. All you can do is bring God there. When you bring God there, you will find all good there. Now, it isn't that you really bring God there, for I and the Father are always one. It is that you bring here the conscious awareness of God's presence where I am. In other words, everything transpires within your consciousness. And now that we are entering the classwork on the development and demonstration of transcendental or spiritual consciousness, I must say to you that there is no possibility of success beyond your capacity to consciously bring God and yourself into oneness, into conscious oneness. Only in your capacity to accept God as the very life of your being here where I am. In your capacity to understand that, Son, thou art ever with me, all that I have is thine, and rest in that word. Rest and relax. Don't struggle for what you shall eat or what you shall drink or wherewithal you shall be clothed. Don't struggle for happiness. Above all things, release that struggle for happiness, for you cannot find it. All that you can find is your conscious relationship with God. When you have found that, you will find that happiness is one of those things added unto you. The whole world is seeking happiness, safety, security, peace, and it isn't finding one of them. And it is trying it through Judaism, through Christianity, Vedantism, and all the religions of the world, and it isn't finding it. And it never is going to find it until it finds it in conscious living, in conscious relationship of oneness with the source of life, the fountain of life, God. And until you come to the realization that God constitutes your individual consciousness, God constitutes your individual life, God constitutes your individual being, and the infinity of God is the infinity of your individual experience. All that the Father hath is the measure of your allness. Now, since this can come about in no other way than through your consciousness, this is the night for you to awaken and realize that your life is going to become exactly the outpicturing of your own state of consciousness. That there are no powers of good operating outside for you, whether it's called God or the study of the stars or the falling of the tea leaves. That there are no powers outside of you for good, but on the other hand, there are no powers of evil to operate upon you, no powers of the past, the present, or the future to operate upon you, because God has given you dominion and you have it. And that dominion lies not in going around using a power over other things or persons. That dominion comes in realizing that I and the Father are one, and that all emanates from within my own being. All good flows out from me as I express divine love. Then you will find first that your body is the temple of God, and it is now being governed by spiritual law instead of the law of weather or climate or infection or contagion or accident. Your body now is being governed by spiritual law the very moment that you acknowledge there are no powers external to me, and the power of life and of immortality, the power of strength, the power of beauty, the power of youth, these flow out from within my own being by the grace of God. For God has given me dominion through my conscious oneness with Him. Therefore, the life of God is my life. The health of God is the health of my countenance. Now, I am emphasizing this point for you tonight because we are making a step forward and upward tonight. We are taking a conscious step. We are declaring consciously that there are no powers external to me for good or for evil. There are no powers acting upon my life or my body except the powers of God which flow out from within me. The presence of God within me is the life and the law of God unto my being, unto my body, unto my health, unto my home, unto my business, my art, my profession. All that the Father hath is embodied within me, and I am loosing it and letting it go out to bless. Withdraw, since you must come out and be separate, withdraw from the world the power of universal belief that has heretofore acted upon you, and has even made it act in accordance with a calendar. Now, there is no reason why you should look your age or anything near it, except ignorance of the truth. And the truth is that your age can only be measured in eons, for you're as old as God. For God is the only life that is your life. It is ageless, it is immortal. There is no excuse for the body running down, for the body has no power to run down. For God is the life of the body. God is the sunshine of the body. God is the strength of the body. God is the health of the body. And God is timeless and ageless. So it is. All of this takes place in your consciousness through your consciousness. You cannot sit back and look for a God power to come and do something for you. And on the other hand, do not sit back and be afraid of any devil power acting upon you. For these can only happen in accord with your own acceptance of universal beliefs. Actually, God, the kingdom of God, the presence of God is within you, and the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. For I and the Father are here, for I and the Father are one and not two. Make this a law unto yourself by conscious recognition and realization, and then remember that you must repeat this dozens of times every day until it registers in your consciousness that you are not a mortal, that you are not living your life separate and apart from God, and that you're not inviting God to come to you and do something to you or for you. But ye shall know the truth. Ye shall know the truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And the truth is, I and my Father are one. And all that the Father hath is mine here, where I am. My very mind and my very body is the temple of the living God. And God is in his temple. As you begin to live this, so that you make God the reality that God is, as you consciously accept this reality as your being, you will find that it is literally true that your body responds, and it begins to show forth signs of being the temple of the living God, and with God living in that temple. But then you take the next step and you realize that your home is likewise the temple of God. And God is in that temple. God is the love, the life, the abundance, the joy, the freedom of that home. God is the relationship between every individual in that home. And very soon you will find signs appearing of your home being no longer a house and no longer an abiding place for an assortment of human beings, each living their own life, but you will find in truth that your home is a temple of God, and in it dwells peace, safety, security, harmony, joy, love, and abundance. Abundance of all good. But you have made it so by your conscious acceptance of God as the life of your mind and body and as the life of your home. After your home begins to show signs of being more like what a temple of God should be, then you can turn to your business, your art, your profession, and begin to understand that they are a temple of God. And God works in and through your business, your art, your profession. It is the intelligence of God that operates them. It is the love of God that operates them. It is the life of God that animates them. God really is the being of your business, art, profession, skill, ability, talent. And therefore, these are temples of God, and God is in his temple. After your business, your art, your profession, your talent, your skill or ability, after these begin to manifest themselves, show forth that they are the temple of God, now you've got the whole wide world to range in. And you can let your thought go to the elections that come up in November in the United States. You can let your thoughts go down into South Africa, where they're having problems of many natures. You can let your thoughts go to the United Nations. You can let your thoughts travel this globe and realize consciously that each one of these is a temple of the living God. The life of God maintains them. The love of God sustains them. The wisdom of God is the only law operating in them and through them and for them. Then do you not see that you are opening out a way for the imprisoned splendor of God to flow out from you and bless and be a benediction everywhere on the face of the globe? But I bring this to you as the very first lesson in mysticism, the first lesson in building a transcendental consciousness. Recognize that none of this can take place except through an activity of your own consciousness. None of this can happen to you, and none of it can happen to Africa or the United States or anywhere else. It all has to be released from within you, for peace on earth is stored up within you. Safety and security for the peoples of all nations are stored up within you. Prosperity for all is stored up within you. God has given you dominion over this entire earth, and above it and beneath it. And you must consciously accept it and release it. You must pour forth divine love unto all peoples, meaning forgiveness, meaning praying for your enemies that their consciousness be opened, that they be touched by the Spirit of Christ. You must open out a way for this tremendous splendor of God to be released on earth as it is in heaven. And you must do all this without seeking a reward, without seeking gratitude, without seeking recognition. You must be very willing for the newspapers to come out with headlines the very next day: peace has been established on earth, and it all happened because Billy Graham was giving a crusade somewhere. You must be willing for that to happen, because you are not doing it for recognition or reward. You are doing it because you have been chosen. You have not chosen God. God has chosen you to be an instrument through which he can make his appearance on earth. Let everyone else get credit for it. What we want is the result. Peace on earth. If you can't demonstrate it in some measure in your own life and health and home, it might be a little bit far-fetched to believe that you are going to influence the affairs of nations. But from the very moment that you can bear witness to harmonies appearing in your mind and body and purse and in your home and among your friends or relatives, then you can be assured that there is no limit to the extent of blessings that you can bring to earth, because there is no such thing as a little bit of God. There is no such thing as a limited time or space of God's operation. Once God escapes from within you, it can envelop the earth, just as whatever measure of love and gratitude escaped from you as you came into this room, it filled this whole room with the presence of God. And we are not prepared to say that that which you did here tonight is limited only to this room. How far and wide this may reach, how many of my patients or how many of the patients of some of you who are practitioners will benefit by the degree of life and love that was expressed here tonight, we will never know. But be assured of this: love cannot be confined to the space of a room, and so it has gone beyond this room.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you for listening to Joel with me. You see how timely this is. So great. It's like perfect timing to hear this, to be part of this, to see what's actually occurring, that the love that we extend to one another is like going way beyond this space in which we meet, which seems to be an online space or whatever, like whatever description, whatever room this is, it really doesn't matter. So I'm really happy with this talk as a first start for the continuation. So Joel gave us a lot of material to work with, you could say, a lot of material to revisit. So this video that we just watched, you can listen to it in its totality on the website. And I will send you the link of, there's a whole playlist of all the tapes that we're going to listen to in this tape group. And it's great to use it and remember it and see that work by the activity of your consciousness. That's unbelievable what happens. It's unbelievable what happens.